the various properties of the transaction?
Sir, atomicity,
Good.
consistency,
Very good.
durability, and isolation.
Very good. Can you explain all the properties one by one?
Yes, sir.
Explain.
Sir, atomicity means that either our transaction ID is successful or not completely.
Okay.
Consistency means that the transaction which we are making, it should be consistent for the another person also, and it should be matlab on the longer term.
Okay. Then.
And durability means that it has to be committed, or else it should not have any errors between them.
Okay. Isolation means.
Isolate, it should be isolated from other transactions.
Means effect of one transaction can't interfere with the other transactions, and transaction must feel that I am executing in isolation. Okay.
Yes, yes,
So if any transactions satisfy all the properties, atomicity, consistency, isolation and durability, it means that we keep always our database in consistent state. Okay. So if we satisfy all the properties, then automatically our data will always in consistent state. Then what are the various states of transaction? Please let me know. I have already explained definition of the transaction, then properties of the transaction. After that, various states of transaction. So please let me know the various states of the transaction. First one is active state, active state. Second one is partially, one is failed state, then aborted state, then committed state, committed state, and after that terminated state. These are the various states of the transaction. See here, partially committed, active state, failed state, committed state, and aborted state. And one state is terminated. When we execute the transaction, that transactions remain in active states. After executing the last statement, transaction goes to the partially committed states. If all the changes reflected into the hard disk, then that transaction goes to the committed state. And after that, finish the transaction, and now we can start another transactions. If during the execution any failure occurs, then we goes to the failed state, and then we undo all the operations and roll back, and then we go to aborted states. Aborted states, we can finish the transaction and then we can restart the transactions. In partial committed state, suppose if we transfer data from RAM to hard disk, and if any failure occurs, then also transaction goes to the failed state, and after that we perform rollback operations, and after completion of the rollback, transaction goes to aborted states. And if transaction goes to the aborted states, it means that if before starting the transaction database in S1 state, then if there occurs failure, then we restored this state S1, and after successfully completion of the transaction, we goes to the next state S2. Did you get it? Hello.
Yes, sir.
This is called state transition diagram of transaction. Now here concurrency. So what is the meaning of concurrency? Please let me know. In operating system, you have studied about concurrency. So what is the meaning of concurrency? Please let me know. And what are the various advantages and disadvantages of concurrency? Why we use concurrency? Yeah, why we allow concurrency in our system? Why concurrency? Please let me know. Geeta. What is the meaning of concurrency? You all are students of computer science and engineering, and you must know about concurrency. This concept is also in operating system subject, and you already studied this concept, concurrency. If multiple transactions are executed simultaneously, that is called concurrency. If there is a uniprocessor and multiple transactions are executing in the system, it means that we allow concurrency. And if two or more than two processors exist and transactions are executed simultaneously, that is the example of parallelism. Concurrency, in concurrency, there occurs a context switching. Some instructions of T1 are executed, then we execute some instructions of T2, and after that we execute some instructions of T3. And in this way, multiple transactions we allow in our system for execution. Did you get it? Hello, Gaurav.
Yes, sir.
Did you get the meaning of concurrency?
Yes, sir.
Then what are the advantages of using concurrency?
सर साइमल्टेनियसली हम बहुत सारे ऑपरेशंस परफॉर्म कर सकते हैं और जो डेटा है वो भी हमारा मतलब रिपीट नहीं होता है.
Main advantage of concurrency. Read this sentence. A transaction involves multiple steps. Some of
Yes.
these steps will involve an IO activity and other will involve CPU activity. Whenever an executing transactions leaves the CPU and goes for an input output, another ready transaction can be taken up for the
sorry.
execution by the CPU. Thus, there is a potential of concurrency amongst the transactions. Same advantage if you use multi-programming system. Here, if one transaction is looking for input-output operations, then CPU will take another transaction from the ready queue and execute that transactions. In this way, CPU never sit idle and maximum utilization of the CPU. Did you get it? हेलो.
Yes sir.
अगर आप जो है कॉन्करेंसी अलाउ नहीं कर रहे हो कि when one transaction finish then we start second transaction, then we start third transaction, then if T1 perform input output operations, then during that time CPU sit idle. So here there is no utilization of CPU. There is no optimal utilization of the CPU. So concurrency, there are two advantages of concurrency. One is maximum utilization of the resources, and second, due to that we can reduce average waiting time. Suppose we have short transactions. So when long transactions is going for input output operation, during that period short transactions completes its execution. In this way, average waiting time we can reduce. And if we reduce the average waiting time, obvious response time will be reduced. And here CPU never sit idle means there is a maximum utilization of the CPU, and due to that throughput of the system will be increased, performance of the system will be increased. Did you get it? Hello.
Yes sir.
So generally there are two main advantages. One is maximum utilization of the resources and another one is reduced average waiting time. And if we utilize resources optimally, then obvious performance of the system will be improved. And if we reduce the average waiting time, response time of transactions will be reduced. And in this way, our system becomes efficient and effective. So these are two advantages. So why concurrency? Why we allow concurrency in our system? Why we make multi-user system? First, for maximum utilization of the resources, maximum utilization of resources, and second one is reduced average waiting time. So from first, throughput of the system will be increased, and from the second point, response time of the transactions will be reduced. These are the main two advantages. And see here advantages of concurrency. Reduced waiting time of the transactions. We can reduce waiting time, average waiting time of the transactions. We can reduce response time of the transactions. We can improve the throughput of the system, and we can improve resource utilization by allowing concurrency in our system. So these are the various advantages of using concurrency. and you have already studied this concept in operating system. And in place of processes, we will use transaction, and transaction is also a type of process. But in transaction, generally we perform read and write operations over databases. Now, what are the various disadvantages of concurrency? Please let me know. If all the transactions, or if multiple transactions are executed in the system in uncontrolled manner or in unrestricted manner, then there occurs a various problems in the system. Please let me know what are the various problems if we allow concurrency in our system. That's why we have to control concurrency. Uncontrolled concurrency leads problem. So first, we will know about various problems which occur due to concurrency. Then we will develop protocols for remove that problem through concurrency control. Did you get it? Hello.
Yes, sir.
अगर आप सेम रिसोर्सेज शेयर कर रहे हो अमंग दी वेरियस ट्रांजैक्शंस तो ऑब्वियस है देयर अकर्स प्रॉब्लम्स. Okay, so for that we have to write protocol. So DBMS or concurrency control manager ensures that concurrency are controlled. Okay, there are various protocols, locking protocol, timestamp based protocol, through which we will control concurrency. We will control the problems which occur due to concurrency. There are various types of the instructions. Some instructions are conflicting instructions and some instructions are non-conflicting instructions. Then in transactions we will maintain the order of conflicting instructions. I will explain these things later on. So first, disadvantages of concurrency control. First disadvantage is dirty read problem or temporary update problem. Second one is unrepeatable read problem. Third one is phantom read problem. Fourth one is lost update problem. And fifth one is incorrect summary problem. So one by one I will explain this problem which occurred due to concurrency. If transactions will execute in uncontrolled manner or in unrestricted manner, then this problem will occur in the system, and due to these problems database goes into inconsistent state, and our objective is to keep database always in consistent state. For that you have to control concurrency. Did you get it? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Now first one is dirty read problem. Suppose there are two transactions T1 and T2. First transactions perform read operation and then perform write operations. Second transaction perform read operations. Okay. And after that, there occurs failure in first transaction. At this point, there occurs a failure. And here, both are using shared buffer. Both are using shared buffer. So first transaction T1 read value of A. Suppose in database value of A is 1000. So here transaction T1 read 1000. Okay. And here through write operations we change the value of 1000 to 1050. Now second transactions read the value of A. So here if value is in the RAM, then second transactions read the value from the local buffer, and in local buffer value of A is 1050. So here second transaction read the value 1050. Now if failure occurs, then we have to roll back the things. We have to roll back the things, means we have to go here, means prior state, and at prior state's value of A is 1000, but second transaction commit. Second transition perform commit operations. So here what happened? The value which second transactions reads, that is not correct value. Why? Because here failure occurs and we perform rollback operations, but since T2 transactions perform commit operations, then we can't roll back. So here we read dirty value. That's why we say this is the dirty read problem. Did you get it? Hello? Please
Yes, sir.
let me know.
Yes, sir.
What is the meaning of dirty read problem? इसको आप इस एग्जाम्पल से भी समझ सकते हो. जैसे स्टूडेंट ए है और ये स्टूडेंट बी है. ओके. और दोनों एग्जामिनेशन दे रहे हैं. स्टूडेंट ए जो है जो कुछ आंसर दे रहा है, स्टूडेंट बी क्या कर रहा है, उसकी चीटिंग कर रहा है, वो भी वही आंसर लिख रहा है. ठीक है. अब क्या हुआ कि ये जो है बिफोर 15 मिनट्स ही कॉपी सबमिट कर दिया. कॉपी को आंसर शीट को सबमिट कर दिया. ओके. देन ए वाला क्या किया, इसको रिव्यू करने लगा, देखा कि अरे ये आंसर तो गलत है, तो यहां पे उसने क्या किया, करेक्ट कर दिया. अब ये करेक्ट करके सबमिट कर रहा है, लेकिन क्या हुआ, ये जो रीड किया हुआ था वो क्या किया था, इनकरेक्ट वैल्यू रीड कर लिया, रिजल्ट आया तो ए के ज्यादा मार्क्स हैं और बी के कम मार्क्स हैं. डिड यू गेट इट? हेलो.
Yes, sir.
इसका मतलब क्या हुआ, बी जो है रॉन्ग आंसर को रीड कर लिया. तो इसको अवॉइड करने के लिए क्या होना चाहिए, जब तक स्टूडेंट ए आंसर शीट सबमिट ना कर दे तब तक बी भी सबमिट ना करे. तो अगर ये बैठा रहता तो ये जो भी करेक्शन कर रहा था उस करेक्शन को ये भी कर लेता.
Yes,
तो
sir.
उस केस में वो जो करेक्ट वैल्यू है वही रीड करता. डिड यू गेट इट? हेलो.
Yes, sir.
फर्स्ट वन इज dirty read problem. So here if one transaction perform write operations on A and second one is perform read operations on A, same value, then there occurs confliction. और इसको रिमूव करने के लिए जब तक T1 कमिट ना कर दे तब तक जो है T2 को कमिट नहीं करना होगा। उस केस में क्या होगा, जब T1 रोल बैक करेगा तो since T2 is dependent on T1, then T2 also roll back the things. Then your database always remain in consistent state. I would like to request you, please mute your mic. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
So I think you all understood the dirty read problem. Okay. Then second one is unrepeatable read problem. What is the meaning of this? Suppose we have a transaction T1 and T2. Both are executing simultaneously in the system and both are using the same buffer. So see here, suppose transaction T1 perform read operations and then perform write operations. Okay. Sorry. Suppose transaction T1 perform read operations and T2 also perform read operations. After that, T1 perform write operations and then T2 perform again read operations. Okay. So suppose in starting value of A in database is 100. T1 read that value 100. Now T2 perform read operations. So first T2 will search that value in the RAM and in RAM value is 100. So T2 will read value 100. But T1 perform write operations and now the value of 100 becomes 110. Now T2 perform again read operations, but second times T2 read the value 110. Actually T2 is thinking that I am executing in isolation and T1 also thinking execution is in isolation. But T2 will be surprised. First time I have read the value 100 and second time I have read the value 110. Okay. Then T2 will be confused. And here there is no isolation. T1 interfere the T2. So this is called unrepeatable read problem. Did you get it?
Yes, sir.
तो अगर T1 जो है राइट ऑपरेशंस परफॉर्म कर रहा है और T2 जो है रीड ऑपरेशंस परफॉर्म कर रहा है ओवर सेम डेटा आइटम, then there occurs problem and this problem is called unrepeatable read problem. Did you get it? Hello?
Yes, sir.
It means that your system is not in consistent state. एक एग्जाम्पल रियल वर्ल्ड का एग्जाम्पल ले लीजिए कि सपोज एट 10 AM आपने अपना रिजल्ट देखा और आपके रिजल्ट में डीबीएमएस में मार्क्स था 76, लेकिन 11 AM पे आपने फिर अपना रिजल्ट देखा एक की ट्यूब का देन ये मार्क्स कितना हो गया 79। तो क्या डेटाबेस कंसिस्टेंट स्टेट में है? हेलो,
नो सर, नो सर।
इसका मतलब किसी ने क्या किया, राइट कर दिया। या ये तो सपोज कम डिस्टेंस है, पहली बार आपने देखा, आपका जो है टोटल मार्क्स 50% था, तो पता लगा कहीं एलिजिबिलिटी क्राइटेरिया 60% था, आपने फॉर्म नहीं भरा, और 11 AM पे देखा तो आपका कितने परसेंट हो गया टोटल मार्क्स, 79% हो
80
या
80%।
80 हो गया। तो इसका मतलब क्या हुआ कि डेटाबेस जो है कंसिस्टेंट स्टेट में नहीं है, अभी जो है प्रॉपरली अपडेट नहीं हुआ था, और उसने उन्होंने अलाउ कर दिया रीड ऑपरेशंस। तो क्या ऐसा करना चाहिए?
नो सर।
तो एक ही ट्यूब में प्रॉब्लम आती है, स्टूडेंट्स आते हैं
यस
कहते हैं
सर।
सर अभी तो हमारा मार्क्स नहीं आया, फिर दूसरे दिन कहते हैं सर अब मार्क्स दिखने लगा। तो
यस सर,
जब
किसी का
तक,
बैकलॉग आ जाता है।
हाँ, अगर आप जब तक अपडेट पूरा ना हो जाए, राइट ऑपरेशंस पूरा ना हो जाए डेटाबेस में, तब तक अलाउ नहीं करना चाहिए रीड ऑपरेशंस। अदरवाइज क्या आएगा, अनरिपीटेबल रीड प्रॉब्लम आएगा। अगर मान लो आप किसी डेटाबेस को 100 टाइम्स भी रीड कर रहे हो तो वही वैल्यू आनी चाहिए कि नहीं मार्क्स की। पता लगा कि 12 नून को आपने देखा तो ये अलग चेंज हो गया, 80% हो गया। तो इसका मतलब ये जो है अनरिपीटेबल रीड प्रॉब्लम है, जबकि हम सेम वैल्यू रीड कर रहे हैं। तो सेम वैल्यू जब हम रीड कर रहे हैं तो ये एक्सपेक्ट तो यही करेगा कि हम आइसोलेशन में रीड कर रहे हैं। इसे क्या पता है कि T1 भी परफॉर्म कर रहा है। ठीक है, आप जैसे कोई यूट्यूब देख रहे हो तो मिलियंस ऑफ द यूजर्स वॉच कर रहे हैं वीडियो, तो आपको ये थोड़ी ना पता है कि कौन कौन वॉच कर रहा है। आप तो ये सोच रहे हो कि हम इन आइसोलेशन यूट्यूब पे वीडियो वॉच कर रहे हैं। ठीक है, इज इट क्लियर?
यस सर।
तो अगर सेम डेटा आइटम को कोई राइट कर रहा है और दूसरा रीड कर रहा है तो ये आ सकता है रिपीटेबल रीड प्रॉब्लम, कि फर्स्ट टाइम हम रीड करें तो अलग वैल्यू आए, सेकेंड टाइम रीड करें तो अलग आए, थर्ड टाइम करें तो अलग वैल्यू आए। तो ये तो कुछ अगर काम करना चाह रहा होगा ए पे, तो ये तो कंफ्यूज हो जाएगा T2 ट्रांजेक्शन।
यस सर, बिल्कुल।
कंफ्यूज होगा कि नहीं? तो ये भी जो
यस
है
सर।
अवॉइड करना चाहिए। ये सब हम देखेंगे कि राइट एंड रीड सेम डेटा आइटम में तो भी प्रॉब्लम अकर हो जाएगी। ठीक, अब सेकंड है फैंटम रीड प्रॉब्लम। ये भी जो है डर्टी रीड से ही रिलेटेड है, अरे अनरिपीटेबल रीड प्रॉब्लम से रिलेटेड है, पर थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस है फैंटम रीड प्रॉब्लम में। फैंटम रीड में अगेन transaction A perform read operations on A, then transaction T2 perform read operations on A, then transaction T1 performs write operations on A, or you can say not write operations but transaction T1 delete A, delete A, delete the variable. And again if T2 want to perform read operations over A, so first time when T2 perform read operations, then value of A is 100. And if second time T2 wants to perform read operations on A, then there occurs a message
Undefined.
A doesn't exist. A doesn't exist. Why? Because before reading second times transactions
Yes sir.
T1 delete that
Delete.
variable.
Yes sir.
तो ये तो सरप्राइज हो जाएगा कि अरे ये क्या हुआ, अभी तो हमने रीड किया था 100, अब यहाँ पे आ रहा है डज नॉट एग्जिस्ट।
यस सर, फिर कंफ्यूज हो जाएगा।
तो ये कहेगा कोई भूत वूत तो नहीं आ गया, इसीलिए इसका नाम क्या हो गया, फैंटम। ठीक है,
यस सर।
पहले वाले केस में क्या हो रहा था कि वो सेम वैल्यू जो है रीड नहीं हो रही थी, जबकि लॉजिकली क्या होना चाहिए, इफ बोथ आर एग्जीक्यूटेड इन आइसोलेशन देन लॉजिकली क्या होना चाहिए, चाहे 100 टाइम्स भी रीड करे वैल्यू क्या आनी चाहिए, सेम आनी चाहिए।
यस सर।
और यहाँ पे भी क्या है कि फर्स्ट टाइम अगर रीड किया तो वैल्यू जो है वेरिएबल डिफाइंड था और वैल्यू आ रही थी, सेकेंड टाइम किया तो क्या आ गया,
अनडिफाइंड हो गया।
डज नॉट एग्जिस्ट।
यस
तो
सर।
इसको बोलते हैं फैंटम रीड प्रॉब्लम। ठीक है, डिड यू गेट इट?
यस सर।
नाउ फोर्थ वन इज लास्ट अपडेट प्रॉब्लम. It is also called write problem. See here. Suppose we have two transactions T1, T2. T1 perform a read operations and A equal to A plus 10. Then T2 also perform read operations and here perform A equal to A plus 100 and write A. And this perform write A. So what will happen? If the value of A is 100, then T1 perform read operations over A and read the value 100. Then A equal to 110. But before performing write operations, T2 perform read operations over A. Then what is the value of A here? 110. Now add 100 into this 110, 210 and perform write operations. Then in A 210. Now if we perform write A, then what will happen? Both are sharing same local buffer. Then if T1 perform write A, then updation of T1 is lost. Why? Because that updation is overridden by 210. ये तो होगा ही नहीं 110. Did you get it? हिमांशु, हेलो.
यस सर। यस सर।
ये अभी सोच ही रहा था कि हम क्या करेंगे, राइट ऑपरेशन परफॉर्म करेंगे,
यस सर।
लेकिन ये तो आइसोलेशन में सोच रहा है. ये क्या सोच रहा है कि 110 अपडेट हो रहा है, लेकिन अपडेट किससे होगा?
210।
210 यही जो है रिपीट हो जाएगा. तो जो फर्स्ट ट्रांजैक्शन का अपडेट है वो क्या हुआ, लॉस्ट हो गया कि नहीं?
यस सर।
तो ये प्रॉब्लम क्यों हो रही है? राइट टू राइट, राइट ऑपरेशंस अगर आप कर रहे हो ऑन सेम डेटा आइटम, तो हो सकता है कि जो अपडेशन ऑफ वन ट्रांजैक्शन है वो लॉस्ट हो जाए ड्यू टू overwrite of second transaction. So here updation of T1 is lost due to T2. That's why we call lost update problem. Did you get it?
यस सर।
Or multiple update problem. In some book, this last update problem is called multiple update problem. Okay. Last one is incorrect summary problem. Incorrect summary problem. What is the meaning of this? Incorrect summary problem. Suppose we have multiple user A, B, C, D. A के अकाउंट में सपोज 100 रुपीज है, B के अकाउंट में 200 रुपीज है, सी के अकाउंट में 400 रुपीज है एंड डी के अकाउंट में 500 रुपीज है। अब आपसे हम कहें कि हमें सम ऑफ द बैलेंस ऑफ ऑल द यूजर्स चाहिए, तो आप एक प्रोग्राम लिखोगे और उसमें क्या लिखोगे, सम इक्वल टू सम प्लस बैलेंस, और 1 बाई 1 सबके बैलेंस को देखोगे। डिड यू गेट इट?
यस सर।
तो हमने क्या किया, पहले यूजर ए के बैलेंस को देखा, तो यहां पे क्या हुआ, स्टार्टिंग में सम इक्वल टू 0 है अगर, तो आपने क्या किया 100 ऐड कर दिया सम में। फिर आपने क्या किया, बी के बैलेंस को देखा और यहां पे 200 कर दिया। लेकिन ड्यूरिंग दिस प्रोसेस एक ट्रांजैक्शन आया और इसमें क्या किया, 50 रुपीज ऐड कर दिया, लेकिन आप इसकी वैल्यू रीड कर लिए थे। आफ्टर परफॉर्मिंग रीडिंग ऑपरेशन क्या हुआ, यहां पे ऐड कर दिया। फिर जैसे आपने इसको रीड कर लिया, इसमें से क्या किया उसने 100 रुपीज ऐड कर दिया, तो जो आपके पास सम आएगा क्या वो करेक्ट आएगा? हेलो,
यस सर।
एक ट्रांजैक्शन से आप क्या कर रहे हो, सपोज 1000 यूजर्स हैं, टाइम लग रहा है, ठीक है, या मिलियंस ऑफ द यूजर्स हैं, आप सबके बैलेंस को देख रहे हैं, लेकिन जैसे आपने रीड किया, आफ्टर परफॉर्मिंग द रीड ऑपरेशंस अनदर ट्रांजैक्शंस ऐड 100 रुपीज इन द बैलेंस ऑफ ए, okay, then after reading the value of b, perform another transactions, and through that transactions we deduct 200 rupees or 50 rupees from b। तो जो आप समरी निकाल रहे हो ये करेक्ट आएगी या रॉन्ग आएगी?
रॉन्ग आएगी सर।
रॉन्ग आएगी कि नहीं? तो आप उस केस में क्या
Yes, sir.
करोगे, जब तक ये हो ना जाए तब तक किसी दूसरे ट्रांजैक्शंस को ये प्रिविलेज नहीं दोगे कि वो परफॉर्म कर सके राइट ऑपरेशंस। अगर दोनों होता रहेगा, क्योंकि मल्टीपल ट्रांजैक्शंस आर एग्जीक्यूटेड साइमल्टेनियसली, तो ऐसी पॉसिबिलिटी हो सकती है कि नहीं? हेलो,
यस सर।
अब जैसे ही फिर AKTU का रिजल्ट आप ले लीजिए, हमने एवरेज मार्क्स ऑफ द स्टूडेंट कैलकुलेट किया और इसके बाद क्या हुआ कि रिजल्ट अपडेट हो गया, तो जो हमने कैलकुलेट किया था एवरेज मार्क्स ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स, वो इनकरेक्ट समरी है कि नहीं है?
यस सर।
तो समरी कब परफॉर्म करो, जब आप इंश्योर हो जाओ कि अब इसमें अपडेट नहीं होगा। अदरवाइज दोनों को आप अलाउ कर रहे हो, अपडेशन भी अलाउ कर रहे हो और कह रहे हो समरी निकालो, तो क्या ये करेक्ट समरी आएगी?
नो सर।
तो ये भी तो कॉन्करेंसी के थ्रू ये प्रॉब्लम अकर हो रही है।
यस सर।
So these are the main problems which occur due to concurrency. Now we will write protocol, okay, to avoid these problems. Then only we can say that our data will always remain in consistent state. I hope you all understood the concept of concurrency. In next lecture, I will explain conflict serializable schedule. Okay. Now time is over. Let me download the attendance, then you may leave the session.